Good morning, students. So let us start. So first we'll take a quick recap of IP address. So when I talk about IP address, it is nothing but a unique numerical identifier that is assigned to every device that connects to a network. So all the devices that are connected to network, if they want to know each other, so only the way or mechanism which is used to know each other is your IP addresses. So when I talk about IP addresses, it is divided into three parts. First is your network part, second is your host part, and the third is your subnet mask. So when I talk about host part, it is nothing but that uniquely identifies each host in the network, or you can say a machine in the network. When I talk about network part, it is used for your location addressing, where it belongs according to the addresses which you have, like your class A IP address, your class B IP address, class C, class D, class D, and so on. So every class has been assigned with the subnet mask. Subnet mask is nothing but a big network which is divided into small sub networks is called as subnet mask. Like for example, if I talk about class A IP address which starts from 0 to 127, so its subnet mask value will be 8. Similarly, if I talk about class B IP address, so its starting range is 128 to 191 and its subnet mask value is 16. When I talk about class C IP address, it starts from 192 to 223 and its subnet mask value is 24. So in the diagram here, we have class C IP address since the range is 192 to 223 and it is within that range. That is why your subnet mask value is 24. Kindly note, class D and class E are usually not used. We use class A, B, C IP addresses only. Important point to note here is that in IP address, whenever you talk about each host on your network, the network part of the IP address will always be the same, but the host part will be different. Why the host part will be different? Because every host is uniquely identified with the IP addresses. So that is always going to be different, but your network part can be same. Let's move to the next. Next, we are looking forward is your static IP addressing and dynamic IP addressing. In IP addresses, you need to do some sort of addressing as well. So when I talk about addressing, it is of two types. One is your static IP addressing and second is your dynamic IP addressing. Okay. So you can note down here the difference between the two, static IP addressing and dynamic IP addressing. So the first point in static IP addressing is it is a permanent numeric address. It is a permanent numeric address assigned to the host in a network. It is a permanent numeric address assigned to the host in a network. So exactly opposite of it will be definitely your dynamic IP addressing. It is a temporary numeric address assigned to the host in a network. It is a temporary numeric address assigned to the host in a network. So the first point actually tells the meaning only. When I talk about word static, its meaning is permanent. So when you assign a permanent address to your host in the network, then it is called as static IP. The word dynamic, its meaning is temporary, which keeps on changing. So when you assign a temporary IP address to your networks, sorry, to your computers in the network, then it is called as dynamic IP addressing. Let's move to the next point. Static IP addressing or address is assigned. Static IP addressing or address is assigned manually by the network administrator. Static IP addressing or address is assigned manually by the network administrator. Dynamic IP addressing or address is assigned by DHCP server automatically. DHCP stands for Dynamic host configuration protocol. Next, third point. Static IP cannot be changed automatically. Static IPs cannot be changed automatically once it is assigned to the computers. Static IP cannot be changed automatically once it is assigned to the computer. Dynamic IPs can be changed automatically. If connection is reset or DHCP expires. Dynamic IP can be changed automatically if connection is reset or your DHCP expires. Next, static IPs are less secure. Dynamic IPs are more secure. The reason why static IPs are secure because you are using an static address only for a long time. You cannot change it. Okay, so once if somebody knows your static IP address, later on they can easily refer it. Since dynamic IP addresses which keeps on changing, so nobody will know your actual IP address. So that is why it is more secure. Last, static IP are used for dedicated servers. Static IPs are used for dedicated servers like FTP, mail server and VPN. So whenever you want end-to-end transaction, end-to-end communication, in that case, you will always go for static IPs. Dynamic IPs are used for connecting large networks to the internet and communicating with them. Dynamic IP is used for connecting large networks to the internet and communicating with them. So that is your static IP and dynamic IP, wherein the first point says, whenever I talk about static IP, it is nothing but a permanent numerical address that is assigned to the host or machine in your network. Dynamic IP is nothing but a temporary address that is assigned to your host or network. When I talk about static IP, it is assigned manually by the network administrator. So the network administrator has to manually enter the static IP. Dynamic IP is not assigned manually. It is done with the help of the DHCP server, which automatically assigns IP addresses. Next, static IP you cannot change. Once you have mentioned that static IP, that will remain there with your computer forever. Dynamic IP keeps on changing if you reset the connection, because it is a server which does it. So in case if the connection is reset or if it expires, then the IP changes. Static IP are less secure only for the reason, since you cannot change it, it is there, same IP is there, and it is easily seen by anyone who is accessing the static IP. So once they have access to your IP address, they will come to know and they can be easily have an access to it. Wherein if I talk about dynamic, since it keeps on changing, so nobody will know what is your actual IP address, since dynamic IP addressing you are using with the help of DHCP server. So every time whenever any device connects with you, they will see a new IP address. So they will never come to know what is your actual or which is your original static IP address. So that is why it is more secure. Last, static IP addresses are used for FTP, that is your file transfer, mail server and VPN. Whenever you want to have end-to-end communication, whenever you have to make sure that all has been sent and received successfully. So in that case, you should know your receiver or the sender both should know each other. So in that case, you will use static IP, because that is only the communication mechanism which they are going to communicate with each other. So they should know their actual names. So when you want to have an end-to-end communication, in that case, you will use static IP. However, when you don't want end-to-end communication, when you are when you are communicating with anonymous devices over the internet, you are just exchanging the information over the internet. In that case, if you don't want your actual IP to be seen, so in that case you will go for dynamic IP. Okay, so dynamic IP basically is used when you are connecting your computers with your large networks, or you can say anonymous devices over internet, and you are sharing some information. So you don't want them to know your actual IP address. So every time whenever you connect with the computer, they will show a different IP address. Okay, so that is your static IP addressing and dynamic IP addressing. Next, IPv4 and IPv6. So IPv4 and IPv6 are nothing but the protocols that are working over your IP addresses. V4 stands for version 4 and V6 stands for version 6. So when I talk about IP addresses, what is their main function? Basically, IP addresses are used for communication over the internet. So with the help of IP addresses, every computer know whom they are. They communicate with the IP addresses, and their primary function is to what? That they always have to give IP addresses to all the computers. So when I talk about every computer is uniquely identify with the IP address. So don't you think that there should be lot of IP addresses, because you want every computer. And when I talk about internet as a platform, there are anonymous devices connecting. There are so many devices that we at times cannot count them as well. So when you want every device to work uniquely, when you want to assign a unique IP addresses to all the devices for communication, so there at times that happens that there is a scarcity of IP addresses. So that is why they have come up with IPv6. In IPv4, there was a scarcity of IP addresses. The requirement has increased, so they have come up with the next version, that is your IPv6. So both of this version, that is IPv4 and IPv6, basically gives unique identifiers, or you can say unique address identifiers for communicating over the network. So was a short of IPs which were created with version 4. That is why they have come up with IPv6. So because of the shortage, the IPv4 addresses are expensive, wherein if I talk about IPv6, since they're readily available, there are so many, so it was less costly than your IPv4. So when I talk about IPv4 and IPv6, let us note down the difference between the two, that what is it, so that we can get an easy identification what is V4 and what is V6. So let us start with the first point. IPv4 stands for IP Internet Protocol version 4. IPv4 stands for Internet Protocol version 4, which is 32-bit IP address, which is 32-bit IP address. I'll repeat again. IPv4 stands for Internet Protocol version 4, which is a 32-bit IP address. IPv6 stands for Internet Protocol version 6, which is 128-bit IP address, which is 128-bit IP address. Let's move to next. IPv4 is a numeric addressing method. IPv4 is numeric addressing method. IPv6 is alphanumeric addressing method. IPv6 is alphanumeric addressing method. Example you can see over your screens. IPv4 address is 192.168.225.25. So you can write there as example for IPv4. As it says, it is numeric addressing. Similarly, for IPv6 also you can write down the example since it says it is a alphanumeric. So we can see over our screens, IPv6 address here is 2405 colon 204 colon 2086 colon E07A colon B8A5 colon 2BB0 colon 91CE colon 6D8F. So that is your IPv6 address, which is a combination of alphanumeric characters, you can say. Next, IPv4 binary bits are separated by dots. You can see in the example which is given over your screen. It is separated by dots. IPv4 binary bits are separated by dots. Whereas if I talk about IPv6 binary bits, they are separated by colon. You can see there over your screens. In the PPT, I have highlighted that. Your IPv4 binary bits are separated by dots. Your IPv6 binary bits are separated by colons. Next, IPv4 offers 12 header fields. IPv4 offers 12 header fields. Next, IPv6 offers 8 header fields. Okay, next, IPv4 supports broadcasting. IPv4 supports broadcasting. IPv6 doesn't support broadcasting. IPv4 has checksum fields. IPv4 has checksum fields. IPv6 doesn't have checksum fields. Next, IPv4 supports VLSM. That is virtual length subnet mask. IPv4 supports VLSM. That is virtual length subnet mask. IPv6 doesn't support VLSM. IPv6 doesn't support VLSM. Next, IPv4 uses ARP, that is nothing but address resolution protocol, to map MAC addresses. Whereas IPv6 uses NDP, that is nothing but your neighbor discovery protocol, to map MAC addresses. So I'll repeat again. So the first point was IPv4 stands for Internet Protocol version 4, and it is a 32-bit IP address. Whereas if I talk about IPv6, that is Internet Protocol version 6, it is a 128-bit IP address. So you can see that there is such a big difference. Second, IPv4 is numeric addressing method. Numeric addressing method refers to what? All your representation of addressing will be in the form of numerics only. Whereas if I talk about IPv6, it can be combination of alphabetics and numerics, okay, which you can see over your screens also, that when I talk about IPv4, it is just numerical addresses. When I talk about IPv6, it is combination of numeric and alphanumeric. Okay. In IPv4, whenever you are separating your binary bits, it is with the help of your dot. In IPv6, it is with the help of the colons. You can see over your screens. IPv4 offers 12 header fields. IPv6 offers 8 header fields. Next, IPv4 supports broadcasting. IPv6 doesn't support broadcasting. Next, IPv6 has checksum fields. V4, sorry. IPv4 has checksum fields. IPv6 doesn't have checksum fields. Okay. Next is your IPv4 supports VLSM. So VLSM stands for virtual length subnet mask. So virtual length subnet mask, or you can also at time referred as variable length subnet mask, wherein the subnet, your small networks can have virtual length, any length of your subnet masking, or you can have any length of your networks. So that is your virtual length subnet mask. So at times this V also stands for variable length. That means you can use more than one mask in the same network. So more than one mask means like you can have multiple class addresses in just single network. That is your VLSM, which is supported in IPv4, but which is not supported in your IPv6. Okay. For address resolution of your mapping your MAC addresses, IPv4 uses ARP, whereas IPv6 uses Neighbor Discovery Protocol. So that is your IPv4 and IPv6. So at the end, we can conclude that IPv6 is simpler than IPv4. IPv6 gives us more combination of or more IP addresses as compared to IPv4. That is why we are using it. When I talk about in terms of payload, that where the load is more, IPv6 gives you more options. Okay, more options of your IP addresses. So the payload is always bigger on that end as compared to IPv4, since it doesn't gives more options of IP addresses. Okay. So since your IPv6 gives you so many IP addresses, so whenever you are assigning IP addresses in the network, IPv6 will use 1% of the network, wherein IPv4 will use your 99% of the network. Why? Because in IPv4, you have scarcity of IP addresses. Once you have assigned the IP addresses, you are not left with more. Whereas if I talk about IPv6, even if there is 100% network, even you assign them all, there will be just 1% of the usage of your IPv6 as compared to your IPv4. So we can see that IPv6 generates so many IP addresses. So the scarcity problem is completely solved when we are using IPv6, that is Internet Protocol version 6. Okay, so that was your IPv4 and IPv6. Let's move to the next. Next, we are moving to the topic that is domain name system. Okay, at time it is also referred as domain name server. So everything like both of them are same only. So here in the diagram, you can see there is something called as yellow pages. Yellow pages was what initially when we used to have a telephone directory, and whenever you want to know businesses or we want to know any information related to the businesses, the organizations, according to the goods and services they offer. For example, if I want to know a plumber where it is nearby, so I will get all the plumbers according to the number. So that was your yellow pages. Okay, it was just like the phone book, which would have all the businesses, the name of the organizations, and those who are providing that services. So it was your yellow pages. Initially we used to use this only. Okay, another example can be your phone book also, the phone diary we used to maintain initially. Now nobody have phone diary, since we have contacts like an application only in our mobile phone. So now we are no more relying on the diaries which we used to write. But initially when you talk about, we used to have a diary, okay, wherein on the right hand side all the alphabets used to be there from A to Z. So once you go to that particular A alphabet, you used to have all your relatives numbers, your friends numbers with A. So it was just like a reference book, like you are referring the names with the phone number. So it was just like that. So yellow pages and diary were the two techniques initially which was used for, you can say, to know the phone numbers. So that same technique when was applied over the internet, that was this tasks were done by the system that is nothing but your domain name system, or your server that is your domain name server. So let us take what it is. So in the similar way, what I have explained you, the domain name system is just a phone book of your internet, where the humans or like people like us can access the information online through the domain names. Like we have domain names like google.com, we have yahoo.com, okay, we have bing.com. So these are nothing but your domains which belongs to which domain.com. So .com refers to they are a commercial website. Similarly, when I have .edu, they are referred to as educational website. When I talk about .gov, they are refers to as government website. So these are the domains. According to the domains, the IP addresses is assigned. So when I talk about DNS, basically what it does, like there are the web browsers that interacts through IP protocol addresses, and DNS translate the domain names to IP addresses so that your browsers can load the internet resources, or you can say a web pages which you want. So for example, when you have typed google.com, so when you type google.com, so DNS server will do what? It will go to its phone book, it will see google.com, and corresponding to google.com, whatever is the IP addresses, that information will be loaded into your browser, and accordingly that web page will be on for you all. Okay, so as we all know that every device which is connected on the internet has a unique IP address, so which allows to communicate with each other. So IP addresses also plays an important role here, where every device over the internet will be identified with the help of IP addresses. Okay, as we all know, as humans, we really cannot remember the numbers. Like for example, if somebody asks me that can you tell his or her number, I cannot remember the number, right? So what I do, I remember the name. Number, to remember number is not possible. So to remember name is possible. Similarly, you're also in over the internet. If somebody asks you that which is the best website for knowledge, you will not tell them that 173.194.77.104 is good. Rather, you will say what? Google.com. Because our human mind cannot learn, or you can say it cannot take numbers quickly, or you cannot remember them order. But when I talk about names, in contrast to this, we can remember it well. Okay, so I will tell that go to google.com instead of telling the IP address. So DNS makes the things very easy for us. Okay, so it eliminates that we should not memorize the IP addresses of that domains. Rather than if you just remember the domain name, will translate that IP addresses for you and you will get the result. So 99% of the times, to be very honest, whenever you are surfing any information over internet or you are accessing any website, do you type the IP address? The answer is no. We type the domain name. The DNS server converts your domain name into IP addresses and it gives back the information to us. Okay, so domain name makes the things easy for us. It translates it and it makes that we should not remember or memorize the IP address. Just we need to remember the domain name, okay, or the web address to which we want to access. So there are few domain name here with the IP addresses, like google.com is your domain name. It is a commercial website. How do you know it is a commercial website? Because .com is the postfix which is associated with it. Okay, it has an IP address that is 173.194.77.104. Similarly, we have twitter.com. So when I talk about twitter.com, it is again a commercial website. .com indicates or signifies it is a commercial website, and it has its corresponding IP address that is 199.59.149.230. Similarly, we have next web domain name that is whitehouse.org. So when I talk about whitehouse.org, it is an organizational website which will have your corresponding IP address that is 667.132.30.211. Similarly, we have other types also that can be your .edu that represent it is an educational website, .gov that says your government website. So similarly, there are the website which are available. Okay. Next, when we talk about DNS servers, when they are loading a web page, so what are the things or what are the activities or operations which are there into your background? Okay, so like just we know that whenever we talk about IP addresses, it tells you gives an unique identification of your devices over the internet. So to find anything over the internet, you need some address. So that addressing helps you to load your web page. So whenever you're loading your web page, some information is required. So for us, the information is required what? The domain name. Without a domain name, you cannot load any web page. Okay, it is just like your street address. So if you want to reach to someone, you need to have their street address. Without a street address, how will reach to them? Similarly, if I want to reach to my indented website or web page, I need to have what? And I need to have a proper domain name. According with that domain name, I also need an IP address which will uniquely identify that which IP addresses or which computer or which host is asking for what information. So IP address and domain name together is important. Okay. Your IP address is also important. The conversion of your domain name into IP address is also important. So this is all together goes as one process. Okay. So whenever I talk about servers, DNS servers, which are actually involved during the process of loading a web page, there are many things going in the background. So the very first is what? DNS recursor. Okay. So when I talk about DNS recursor, it is nothing but a server that is being designed to receive the queries from the client machine with the help of applications like your web browsers. So whenever you want to send any queries, okay, that queries are being handled by DNS recursor. And how they handle it, how they communicate that query, with the help of your applications. And the most common application we use for communication is your web browsers. Second is your root name server. So when I talk about root name server, this is the very first or initial step wherein you translate your host names into your IP addresses. So that is your root name server. So what is that host name? Host name is nothing but your domain names into your IP addresses. Okay. Third is your TLD name server. TLD stands for top level domain server. So top level domain server is something like that where your information is stored according to the country prefix, okay, and to the domain name it is stored. Like we have country prefix for India is .in, for Australia is .au, for USA it is .us. So the first level, your top level domain will have what? All the country prefix, and then under that you will have all the websites for that country. Like for India will have .commercial website like Amazon, so that Amazon.com can be same in other countries also. So the top level domain will have your country prefix, and the further level of bifurcation will be what? Your information which is stored, the domain names and their IP addresses. So domain names will be google.com, which will belong to which domain? Commercial domain. Then you have your .org, that will belong to organizational domain. So according to the country prefix, all the domain information will be there, and that domain information will have their corresponding IP addresses also stored. Okay. So that is your TLD, that stands for top level domain server, which will have all your information related to your naming servers and with the country prefix. Last is your authoritative name server. So when I talk about authoritative name server, it can be just thought as your data dictionary where all your information will be stored, and whenever you want to refer any information, you have to search that information into your data dictionary. Okay, so that is your authoritative name server. So first is your DNS recursor. So DNS recursor is nothing but it is a server which has been designed with an intention to receive the queries from your client, and the queries are received from the client through your application like your web browsers. Second is the root name server. The root name server is the very initial step wherein you do what? Translate your host names into your IP addresses. Next is your TLD, that is stands for top level domain, that you can thought as like it is a step, important step wherein your all your information related to DNS is stored in the form of country prefix and the domain which it belongs to. The common domains are org, .com, .edu and so on. Last is your authoritative name server. So when I talk about authoritative name server, it can be thought as a data dictionary where all your information is stored in a form of metadata, and all the information will be stored there. So that is your authoritative name server. So let us take a quick recap whatever we have done today. So the very first topic which we had done today was your static IP addressing and dynamic IP addressing. So when I talk about static IP addressing, it is nothing but a permanent number which is assigned to your host or machines. When I talk about dynamic, it is nothing but a temporary number which is assigned. Static IP addresses are given by network administrator and it is done manually. Dynamic IP is not done manually, it is done by a server and the server name is your DHCP server. When I talk about static IP, you cannot change it. Once it is assigned, it is there with the computer forever. When I talk about dynamic IP addressing, it can be changed automatically if your connection is reset with the DHCP server or if your license is expired with the DHCP server. In that case, the connection may be reset or the IP address may change. Next, static IP addresses are less secure because it is the constant IP address which is going to be there. You cannot change them. Once somebody knows your static IP address, they can have easy access to your network. However, if I talk about dynamic IP addressing, it always generates new set of IP addresses with the help of DHCP server. So nobody will come to know what is your actual IP addresses or which is your static IP address. Last, static IP addresses is used whenever you want to have end-to-end communication, whenever you have a proper communication with your protocols, that is nothing but your FTP protocols, your mail server protocols, okay, or VPN. When I talk about dynamic IP addressing, it is used whenever you want to communicate yourself with anonymous devices over the internet. Then you can use dynamic IP because you are connecting yourself with many devices over the internet. So if there is dynamic IP addressing, nobody will know your actual IP addresses. Next, we have seen was your what do you mean by IPv4 and IPv6. These are the two versions, IPv4 version 4 and IPv6 version 6. These are both internet protocol versions wherein it helps you to have unique identifiers for your communication. IPv6 has come into the picture because when I talk about IPv4, there were short of the IPs created with IPv4, so they have come up with IPv6, and IPv4 are expensive as well because there is scarcity. IPv6 are readily available and you can use them. So in the example here I've given here IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4 is 32-bit IP address and IPv6 is 128-bit. So when I talk about IPv4, it is numeric addressing technique where you divide your binary bits with the dots. When I talk about IPv6, it is alphanumeric addressing technique, and here you divide or you separate your binary bits in colons. Okay. IPv6 is used more as compared to IPv4 because it is compatible with many of the mobile networks. IPv6 gives you a large amount of your IP addresses. The payload is always low when I compare to our IPv6. IPv4 payload is always high because at times it comes with the scarcity of IP addresses. Next we had seen today was DNS. So when I talk about DNS, that stands for domain name system, and it is just a phone book of your internet. Okay, so whenever you are accessing any piece of code over the internet, you are accessing with the help of the name. That is nothing but a domain name. So DNS does what? It converts your domain name into the IP addresses because IP addresses understand, sorry, your browsers understand IP addresses. The browser doesn't understand domain name. So to convert your domain name into the IP addresses, this task is done by your domain name server, or you can refer it as domain name system. So when I talk about domain name system, there are 4 servers which are involved while you are loading your web page. First is your DNS recursor. That is nothing but a server which is designed to receive the queries from the client. Root name server, that is nothing for translating your host names into your IP addresses. TLD, that is nothing but the top level domain server, where the information is stored at the top level with respect to your country prefixes and the domain name it belongs to. And the last is your authoritative name server, that can be referred to as your data dictionary, where you can refer each record whenever when you want to refer with the name, specific name. Okay, that's it for the day. For the next lecture we shall see more topics. Thank you everyone.